It is time to start a new vlog, but Valerie has been making noise for like 5 minutes outside. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the reading vlog. What I'm hoping will be the Meet the Parents reading vlog, but we'll see. We'll see if they are comfortable with being on camera. So it is currently the 10th of February. We're running this vlog for 10 days, and my parents are coming to Perth tomorrow. So it'll be the first time that they are coming to visit. They both are readers of varying degrees, so I'm hoping to like catch them in a reading update. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I thought I would wait to the vlog this month just because even if they are not comfortable being on camera, we have quite a bit planned during the week. So I'm hoping to get some clips of Perth to show everyone who is interested as a bit of, I guess it'll be more of a life vlog than a reading vlog. But I am reading at the moment. So what I'm picking up is all trad in this reading vlog, which feels a little bit dirty, if I'm honest. But I've finished three indie books already this month, and now I'm like in my trad era for the next 10 days or so, and then I'll be working on beta reads going into the end of the month. So, what I'm reading right now, just as a quick update, is Ice Station by Matthew Riley. This was a mood read for me. I'm just over the halfway point here. Ice Station is an action packed novel. Matthew Riley does excel in really short, sharp chapters and sequences. I thought I was going to DNF it at about the 25% mark because of how repetitive one of the action sequences was, but the scene itself was really cool. So this one is following basically a mission on Antarctica. So they're on an ice station, which is the name of the book, and they go into this diving situation because they're deep sea diving. They're trying to discover things. It's like a scientific outpost, and they discover some strange metal which they think might be a spaceship. And then the US military wants to get on that before anyone else, but so does every other military in the world. And it's just a bit nuts. It's a bit chaotic. Matthew Riley was 23 when he wrote this, which is quite impressive. While that action sequence with the killer whales was very cool visually for my brain, the repetitiveness did shit me. It's one of my big pet peeves as a reader. But now that we're not in that action sequence and we're building tension again, it's really good again. So it's going to be interesting where I land on this one. But I'm hoping to finish that in this vlog. Likewise, I would like to finish Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer, which I'm reading with Ryan over on Genre Blender. This is the fourth book or the fourth entry in the Southern Reach series, and I believe this concludes it. So I'm going to count this as a series completion once I finish it. I got to page 172 last night, which is just shy of halfway. I've got about 40 pages to go to halfway. This is really interesting. So I loved the original Southern Reach trilogy, and this has incorporated a lot of the language choices. So we've got that atmospheric, environmental, cosmic horror element with some very disjointed sentences, which makes you reread it. My friend Ryan, we're talking over on the Discord about it, and they brought that up, and I was like, you know what? That is exactly what is happening right now. And he described it so much better than I could have. So I'm going to take it and run with it. And it just makes you rethink it, but also it is easier to read from a purely reader perspective than Annihilation was, which did really make you take your time at that 127 pages. It does do well in incorporating those writing styles, so it is easy to read while it's still quite atmospheric and bringing those horror elements in there. This one is following for the most part. I'm in the second part of this now, Old Jim, and it's before the events of Area X. So it's before Area X is actually like stationed off and people are going in there and doing expeditions. And we're trying to find more out about Area X before I assume we go on and do this expedition. So I'm really enjoying that. So far, I can see it being a 5-star read for me already. This one, I can see it being maybe a 3.5-star read. We'll see. We'll see how it lands at the end of it. I then plan on picking up Swan Song. So I have asked my dad to bring the physical copy because they're so expensive, and I've already bought one, and I gave it to him. And if he does bring it, I will be trying to smash that out by the time he goes home, which is 7 days. So that may be ambitious. That will very likely take over all of my reading for the time that they are here, but we have some other stuff planned, so it won't just be me talking about Swan Song. In the background, I'm still going on Dust of Dreams. I'm not rushing this book. I'm picking it up when I want to. It's a huge setup for the last book, and it feels like that. There's a lot of time being taken to set things up. I am still enjoying it. I am over halfway now, but I suspect, even though I've been reading this for like 2 months now, this will be finished in early February. That's just the way that it seems to be going. So that's that. And if I get more audiobook time, which I don't think I'll get a lot of audiobook time, but I am reading an indie on audio, which is The Fall of the Giants by Gregory Taxis. I've just hit the 20% mark on that, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than the first book and the novella. And I think that's because we are getting an expansion of the lore and the world, which I'm really enjoying. In terms of my own book, this clip is going for ages. Sorry, people. But my own book, I am hoping to get very, very close to sending this back to the dev editor by the end of this vlog. I am currently at page 327 of 407. Yeah, 407 now. I've added, at the time of filming, I've added about 17,000 words to it. I suspect I will have added 20,000 words to it by the time it goes back to the dev, and I have given her some forewarning for that. But yeah, it's a lot stronger than it was, but it has taken me a lot longer than I anticipated. I'm currently in the weakest, or what I deem the weakest part of the novel, and it's just taking a lot of reworking and setting up the next story, but it has helped me plot out book 2 to where I think book 2 will be a much stronger book as well. So that's what I'm going to go do now. I'm going to try and get my 10 pages in for the day, hopefully get some breakfast, and then I need to edit my videos for next week. They are filmed, they just need to be edited, and clean the house and get ready for the parents to arrive. Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, the 12th of what month we in? January. And I would do a quick reading update before we head on over to Swan Valley. We're going to go have breakfast. So my parents arrived yesterday. You'll see Dad walking the dog in a clip in a minute. But we are going out to breakfast in like the wine region, and then we're going to go grape picking, which should be fun. So I did finish Ice Station yesterday. Had about 150 pages to go. That is all done now. I think I'm ending at a 3.5 for this one. So there were some things in here that did annoy me, just in terms of repetition of action sequences, repetition of sentence structure, repetition of words, which grinds my gears as a reader. It's probably like my biggest pet peeve when I was reading, but outside of that, the scenes were really cool, and the research that's gone into the storytelling was also really cool. This is not my favorite Matthew Riley. I think they would have to go to tournament, but I had a good time with it. I believe there's 2 more books in this series following Shane Schofield, which is the main character of it. It's very action heavy, very fast paced. It just it does not slow down at all. And there were some scenes with killer whales, which I don't think I'll be going into an ocean anytime soon. So yeah, it was nuts, but had a good time. I have picked up Swan Song by Richard McCammon. It's in the bedroom. I won't go and get it. Rachel's in there, and I've read the first 3 pages, and it pretty much drops you in unapologetically to a president having to make a really, really hard decision to basically cause the end of the world. And yeah, I'm hoping to read 100 pages of that today, but like I said, we're going out, doing some things. We've got some friends coming over for dinner tonight, so we'll see. I need to prep that when we get back. But yeah, I hope to get some clips while we are out today. I'll see you in the next update. G'day team, it is Tuesday. Is it Tuesday afternoon? Yes, it's Tuesday. And I've just gotten to page 100, I want to say 108 of Swan Song. So I thought I would give some initial thoughts. We are off to Scarborough tonight to go watch the sunset over the water. It sets in a different place here than it does in Brisbane, so Dad wants to go and see it. And there's like a nice hill that we can go and sit on and watch the sunset, so we're going to do that. But Swan Song, I can see where the comparisons to The Stand come in. It's a little bit different to me, mainly in that this is the start of World War III, which has caused the end of the world as we know it, and in The Stand it's like a plague, like a sickness that rips through the world. But it is Also, a slow character burn. First sort of part of the book is introducing us to what I assume are our main players in the game. So we have Swan, who's a little girl who people think are freaky because maybe she's got some powers. She seems to sense things that are happening, and like the impending doom. We've got a sister who was, I think she's homeless. She's being beaten up on the streets. We also have like a semi-pro wrestler that goes around touring high schools who just is in amidst all of this. And then we had the President of the United States, which had to make some really, really difficult decisions to start World War III, or to basically get the upper hand for the US in World War III. I can see, like I said, I can see the comparisons. I don't have a lot to go on yet. Like, I barely scratched the surface at 100 pages, but I'm enjoying the writing style. I'm enjoying the character focus that we have here, and I guess I'm going to get more of that sort of slice of life and how we build up after the end of the world, is where I think this is going to go. I also got to the halfway mark of Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer, and I'm loving it. It's a really good mix of writing styles between the two, following old Jim as he's trying to uncover some of the things that are happening around the Forbidden Coast before it becomes Area X, and we're getting a little bit more insight into the Seance and Science Brigade, or SNSB, as they sort of conduct experiments in this area, and it's all a bit weird and wonderful. But I can't go too much into detail because it's a book 4, and there are things that you uncover in the trilogy that I don't really want to spoil for anyone. But that's been fun. Other than that, I have not read a whole lot over the last couple of days. We've sort of been out doing stuff. We've got the sunset tonight, and tomorrow we're spending all day on Rottnest Island, which is the home of the Quackers, so hopefully we get to see someone. I can take some footage of that. So probably going to B-roll footage again. Update on my writing. So I got to edit 10 pages yesterday and 10 pages today, which means I have 40 pages to go. And if I can get 10 pages done Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll be sending it off to the editor again before the end of this vlog, which is the goal. But yeah, that is it for the reading updates. I will catch you in the next one. What a week. It is Saturday, the 18th of January. I didn't film for, I think, 2 days, maybe 1.5, more likely 2. We ended up just spending time with my parents. I did not read a whole lot over this last week at all. I'm 2/3 of the way through Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. It's wild. I just got to the last story section of it. I think there's 3 parts to it. I'm in part 3. It is insane, but a really good combination of writing styles from the first from the first trilogy. I think I said that earlier when I started talking about it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this section, but it is harder to read for me personally, or at least that first chapter in this section was. I think I have 140 pages left. I would love to get that done by the time I do a podcast with Ryan tomorrow. Now that my parents are gone, we've just dropped them to the airport, came and had breakfast, and that is the aim. That is the main goal, is to finish Absolution in this vlog so I can talk about it on the podcast, and also to finish my book, which has 20 pages to go. So even though I haven't been reading a whole lot, I got to page 200 of Swan Song. I'm putting that aside now. I'm going to finish this one first, and then I might go back to Dust of Dreams. I don't hate it by any means. It's very, very good, but I can see it's something that I want to really sink my teeth into and binge for a big book. Whereas I don't get that with Dust of Dreams, and I need to finish it. So I think reading plans for the rest of the vlog is basically going to be Absolution and finishing my writing to send it off to the dev editor. So anyway, I digress. Even though I haven't read a whole lot during this vlog, I have been able to keep up to my speed with my own book. So by the end of this vlog, I should have sent that off to the dev editor, which is the aim here. And then I think I've got about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, where I'm waiting for that to come back, and then I'll go through another round of edits. In that 2 weeks, what I'm planning on doing is to still use my writing time to look at book 2 now that I've really fleshed out more of, I guess, the backstory, which isn't necessarily on the page for you to read in the first book, but it is in my head. And I'm changing up the way that book 2 is going to operate, which I think is the beauty of doing a developmental edit, particularly for a first book or book 1 or a new book in a series, is to get asked some of those difficult questions that really make you think about your world. And that is definitely what Olivia Hoffer has done for me, is to really make me think about the backstory and how it's all going to come together. And because of that, my initial view for book 2, although the plot hasn't changed, has changed in the way that I'm going to structure it. So initially I was looking at book 2 being a 2 POV book where we split into, I guess, 2 of our main characters, so Caleb and Argo, and they would both have separate POVs in the location that they're in. I now think that I'm going to go with 3 POVs and sort of work more of John's story, which is, I guess, the creator of the situation that we're in, into it. So he's not going to have a lot of page time, but what we get, I'm hoping, is to really tie in the backstory about why everything is happening the way that it is. Remembering this is a transition story and trying to, I guess, have a look at some of those thematics in a fictionalized sense while also not feeling like it's necessarily a transition story. But anyway, so yesterday we went to the city and Fremantle. Rach and I have been there before, but I did get to stop in at Stefan's, which is my favourite bookshop here. I think I've spoken about them a few times. And I went with the intention, I didn't buy these, by the way, for book buying ban purposes. My mum bought me some books and bought Rachel some books because I'm a strong, independent boy who still asks his mum to buy him books. I didn't ask, but she gave us some money, that's what we did with it. So I went with the intention of buying Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, and I just happened to peruse a few more books in the horror section. Something I really like about Stefan's is they are hyper specialized. So they do sci-fi, fantasy, horror is fairly new, but they do get a lot of horror into the store now. And they also do a bit of historical fiction and a bit of like crime thriller, and they each have their own section, but the bread and butter is sci-fi, fantasy, and now horror. So I went with the intention of seeing if they had this and picked it up, but I also found Pay the Piper, because I can read, by George A. Romero and Daniel Kraus. So I, not gonna lie, cover, and I bought more sharks at the aquarium, so we did that as well. There'll be some B-roll footage of the aquarium somewhere in here. And it's got quotes for Joe Hill and Clive Barker on the back. And then I read it and it just seemed super interesting, plus I loved the cover, and I picked it up. It had the rule of, I picked it up, I put it down, I came back, I picked it up again, I read the back, and I was like, that's still interesting. Put it down, I'm only here to get one book. And then I picked it up a third time, I was like, fuck it, I'll just buy it. So I ended up with those 2 from the bookstore. Yeah, that's it. That is it for the update. I am probably going to go binge some BookTube right now, not going to lie. We've been out every day this week, so I had 7 days off from work, and we've been out of the house driving at least 2 to 3 hours each day to go and see stuff. And my parents were here showing them some things that were in Perth, but I am tired and I miss my BookTube buds who probably don't know I exist, but they make me happy anyway. So I'm gonna go and do that and order groceries. Adulting. All right, I'll catch you in the next update. Bye. Hello everyone, happy Monday. It is the end of the vlog. It is Monday the 20th of January, and I'm here with the last reading update. So I finished Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. What the fuck is all I can really say about the book. It is a book 4. Other than that, I will say that was an interesting combination of writing styles between the first trilogy and this book. It did seem to encapsulate a lot of what I loved, but it really incorporated all of the writing styles where it was atmospheric and very like environmental horror driven, with some easier to read, I would argue, storytelling in here. The last section of this, so part 3, where we're talking about Lowry. So anyone who's read the initial trilogy, Lowry is a character in it, but he's a little bit, and he has a lot to do with Area X. We get to see him going into the first expedition once the border comes down in part 3. And this guy, reading it was like an acid trip, to the point where I had to like step back and be like, hang on, am I on drugs? But while I was reading it, and it takes something, I wasn't, by the way. I don't do that. anymore. Had a wild youth. Anyway, so being able to like step back from that and like have to recenter myself in reality is quite a feat for an author. But I still stand by my initial review of WTF, but I loved it. And I can't wait to read more Jeff Vandermeer and be forever confused by the writing that's in there. I also managed to get to 50% of Fall of Giants by Gregory Contaxis. I'll put the cover up here. And I'm enjoying this one more than I've enjoyed books 1 and the novella. I don't know whether it's because I'm doing it on audio, and I do find that sometimes if I don't love a book physically, then the audio may work better for me. And I'm not sure if it's that, but I also would argue that there is a deepening of the lore and the world with the elder races that I'm really enjoying in this book so far. And we're getting a bit of more of a look with, so what's his name? Warren? I forgot, I literally just listened to it. I've got Jim Brain, who is like the big bad, and I guess more of his machinations and what's gone on behind the scenes there. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it too. I am going to put down Swan Song for now. I'm still having a good time with it. Is it The Stand? Too early to tell. I don't think so at this very early stage. I'm 200 pages into a 1,000-page book, but it's enjoyable. I do want to sort of read it quickly and like binge it. So I'm putting it down for now because I am going to focus on finishing Dust of Dreams in the month of January. There are 10 days left, and I've also just started a beta read, which needs to be done by the end of the month. So those are the things. I did arms. Holding this camera up is a terrible idea. Anyway, that is it for the month. My parents have gone home now. My book, if you want a quick little update on that, I did finish the dev edits, and they've gone back to the editor. So I'm hoping to hear from her in a couple of weeks' time and to get this ready for beta readers. So yeah, that's it. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.